This past weekend was pretty dope for it being a non-UFC weekend. Pretty big for boxing, but we do have Renato Moicano against Benoit Saint-Denis coming up in France. So a lot to talk about heading into that, and I brought on my partner in crime, Frankie, as well as my partner in crime in life, CJ, to come on and talk about what we got to look forward to, not only for this weekend, but for the rest of the year. So if you haven't liked, subscribed, and shared, make sure you do that. If you're listening on the podcast, make sure you like on the podcast platform that you're using as well. But let's get into it. So I wanted to dig into what just occurred on this past weekend. Major fight. I'm sure everybody knows about it. Anthony Joshua got knocked silly by Daniel Dubois on, for me, what was a Saturday afternoon. But you were actually live streaming during the event. So, like, before we even get into, what happened, like, what were you thinking going into it? What were you anticipating happening going into that fight?
I was kind of along with everyone else, I thought AJ was gonna beat the fuck out of him. To be perfectly honest, I thought he was gonna. I expected like an early rounds knockout. I think at first I was kind of saying it would be relatively early, like 3 or 4, but then I got to thinking about it a little bit more, and I know that AJ likes to slow roll his way into fights a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the kind of guy who starts on the front foot. He sort of eases his way in. And I thought maybe 5th, 6th, 7th round, that kind of region. Eventually, because I thought his skill level was a bit higher than Dubois, and I thought physically they're very similar. So I kind of thought, despite the age difference, which is obviously a big thing in combat sports, I expected AJ to knock his block off, and that did not happen, to say the least.
It did not happen at all. So one thing I wanted to ask, as far as streaming during a boxing event versus streaming during a UFC event, like, obviously there's a difference in the amount of time in between fights. Like, how was that to deal with in comparison to even a slow rolling fight card like the Sphere was, that were playing whole movies in between? Like, how was that to deal with?
The funny thing was, I basically went on. So I jumped on live about a minute before I literally came on a minute before the co-main event started. So I didn't even sit through the whole card, and it was still a nightmare.
Yeah,
like it's a hard slog. Like, so basically in UFC, where obviously they have their start times for when certain things are going to start, but it's more set in stone. It's more regimented kind of things. So if you get a fight that ends early, you might be waiting an extra 10 or 15 minutes if you get an early stoppage. With boxing, like what happened with the co-main ended really early. So they literally I knew I was screwed when the fight was over, and that, like, AJ was due out next, and they showed him live coming into the arena. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That kind of speaks
It
for
was
itself.
weird. It was weird because I saw they were showing different people talking about the fight, leading up to it, and I think I saw Ariel, walking around the place that they were going to walk out into, and then they flash back to AJ and he's getting his hands wrapped. I'm like, what? Like, he's not even dressed. Like, he's not ready at all. Like, dude.
You know how usually, like, they show the fighter coming in between the co-main event and the main event in the UFC, but then you realize, oh, it's from like 4 hours before
Yeah.
where they've come in. No. He was walking in live when the co-main event was over. It's like, I knew there were some things about it that were better. Like, obviously Oasis has a lot of hype right now.
Yeah.
And when they did their set, I remember watching it live and thinking, this is actually pretty good. Like, if anything, it made me more excited for their world tour and stuff coming up, because I thought the 4 songs and stuff they put on it were very nostalgic. But bear in mind that in between the co-main event and the main event, there was maybe a wait of a minimum of about an hour and a half. and that set was maybe 15 minutes. So it didn't
That's
make up for it.
insane. That's
They weren't it.
insane. That
It weren't it.
I don't like that at all. And then like it almost puts you in the wrong mindset in a sense. It's like I'm gonna listen to Oasis and be chill and you know and kind of mellow out a little bit, and then now I got to
Mm.
get hyped up again for this fight. Like it's kind of weird to me, at least.
It's very
And,
weird.
and maybe it's just because from over here we're not used to big outdoor stadium shows like that, which I will say they did an amazing job putting it on. It definitely is kind of the blueprint of how to put on an outdoor combat sports event, but the pacing is just a
The
nightmare.
pacing was horrible. But I will say this though, and I know we're probably going to talk about it. The reason why it ended up being okay in the end is because the fight itself was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
If that fight had been terrible, if it had been 12 rounds of tippy tappy, which you get a lot in boxing, that event would have left a sour taste in everyone's mouth. It would have been a disaster. So the only good thing you can say is, all right, they slow rolled it, they made us wait. But when the fight actually went down, you popped in for moments of that live stream. I
Yeah.
had guys on there that don't really watch boxing too much, and they were going out of their fucking minds at what was going on. It was action from the minute the bell rung to the end. There wasn't a moment where it was like you were engaged, enthralled with the whole thing. So from
Yeah.
that perspective, like I said, the stadium, as you mentioned, was great. The atmosphere looked great, and it does tip again to the UFC. Maybe should try shit like this because we've shown it can be pulled off over here,
Yeah.
despite the fact that we got rainy conditions and all that. They pulled it off, but
Mm-hmm.
I think that's ultimately like you put a lot of there's a lot of risk involved because if that fight had stunk with the amount of eyeballs it had on it, it would have been a disaster. But fortunately, it turned out
Yeah.
the other way.
That is true. So leading into the fight itself, what do you think went wrong for AJ?
I think it's kind of this goes back to when he basically got. I think people say it went as far back as Ruiz. I think it goes back a little further than that. I think when he got dropped by Klitschko in the fight that he won, he ended up
Mm-hmm.
going on and winning that. I think when he got dropped by Klitschko, I think it started from there. I think AJ's very much he needs to fight the fight at his pace. I don't think he's the most technical guy out there, but the physical attributes that this guy has and the intimidation that this guy has from knocking people the fuck out throughout up to a certain point of his career, he needs to have the fight on his terms and the pacing on his terms. And I think it's a combination of things. I think there's the confidence from knowing that he can be hurt, and he's been in situations where he's been hurt and been in trouble, but also the fact that he needs to be allowed to be given time to settle into a contest, find his range. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is where the full credit goes to Dubois. He went from him from the opening bell. Like he didn't respect him. He walked straight over to him and put himself in the fire. And I don't think AJ was prepared for that. And it was
Yeah.
just down. I knew within 1 minute of that fight that he was going to lose.
I felt the same. When I saw Daniel land that power jab on him and just consistently do that within the first 30 seconds, I saw him land, 3 or 4 jabs. I was like, I don't think he can get past that jab. I don't think, I think that jab, and it's not like he didn't know. Everybody
Mm,
talked about the jab leading into it, saying that he had, one of the best jabs in the game. And so if we knew, then they knew.
mm-hmm.
But it felt like he didn't have a plan on what to do to counter that jab. Yeah, he has a big right hand for sure, but the jab's going to get to you first. And it just, from that point forward, I felt like he had an obstacle that he had no way or no thought process on how to get around it, and
Yeah.
that just kind of ate him up the whole fight.
I think he saw the whole thing wrong as well. I think there is an element of truth in the fact that he underestimated Dubois as well. There's been a very strong narrative of Dubois got no heart. He's a quitter. the fight that narrative is centered on is the fight that he had with Joe Joyce, who has gone on to do terribly since that fight.
Yes, he has.
Joe Joyce shattered his eye socket. If you're not quitting in that moment, it doesn't make you a coward or a quitter. You had your eye socket shattered by a behemoth guy. That's not quitting. You got your face smashed in. It's hard to explain what getting. I've had my eye socket shattered before, and I'm telling you, there's no quit in that situation. It means it's over. You can't continue in that situation. So I think that narrative going into it was, I think AJ bought into that as well. I think there was a lot of, I'm probably a slightly more skilled boxer, and when I hit this guy, he's gonna crumble. And he obviously found out that ain't it.
No.
Like that's not what he was facing, and it took him by surprise. And by the time he got his head around that, it was too late. He was already done.
Yeah. So to Anthony Joshua's mental or mentality, do you think that he is a mental midget?
It might be a little bit harsh. I think what Anthony Joshua usually wins fights on is he's way more athletic and naturally powerful than a lot of guys he gets in there. He's always got the physical advantages. And he's not the most technically skilled boxer, but when you combine the two of them, where he's got a bit of a patient approach, and because people are afraid of what's coming back, he's usually allowed to set into his game. But if you see that the two losses that he's had in his career, or the two major ones, with Ruiz and, Usyk beat him because Usyk's just better.
Yeah.
Usyk is levels above in terms of technical boxing ability. But with Ruiz didn't respect him and went for him, and Dubois done the same. Everyone else he's fought has been afraid of what's coming back, and they've given him the time to settle into his rhythm. And in this instance, he was facing somebody who was younger, hungrier, had the same physical attributes as he did, and we discovered on the night has boxing acumen that is at least comparable. And when you put those things together, he didn't have the advantages from the front foot anymore. Yeah. And we know that when he gets hurt, other than the Klitschko fight where he came back and won, in any other fight where he's been hurt like that, he's done. You knew it. Like as soon as he dropped the first time, when that jab, it's like you said, when that jab was landing, and you could see he was thinking, "Hang on a second, this ain't going the way I was expecting it to go." And then he got dropped at the end of the first. You knew the writing was on the wall. It was just a matter of he was surviving in there, and only a Hail Mary was really going to get him out of it, and it didn't come.
Yeah, I wish they had and maybe somebody will do it. I wish there was like a body language expert that would like take a look at his body language. Look at him. Look at Sean O'Malley. Look at Alexa Grasso. Like, look at their body language when they go back to the corner. Like, you could just tell, like, you're not coming. This is it. You're not going to win this fight.
Yeah.
You're not going to win this fight. It doesn't matter how long you stay in here. All you're doing is just delaying them saying that you lost this fight. And that's the way it looked by AJ the whole time.
And you didn't have to be a body language expert to see what was going on in there. You could see that Anthony Joshua was wilting, and you could see that on the other side that Dubois was growing in confidence every moment that went by in that fight. He was like, I'm hurting him. He's not coming back at me. You could see he was like, he knew he could just keep stepping forward, and the fight played out exactly like that. It was a shocker, but it shouldn't have been. None of us should have been shocked by what transpired. I think it's more that AJ's obviously been on a nice 4-fight win streak since then. Obviously, what he did to Ngannou put a lot of false belief in people's heads. There was a combination of things. I think there was a lot more going into this than just Dubois the better fighter, Dubois younger. I think what you mentioned about the mentality had a lot to do with it as well. I think he was expecting Dubois to crumble and that he was going to be that much better than him, and neither of those things were true, and that's what led to his downfall.
That's all. Yeah, AJ just seems like the ultimate front runner. When things are going well, like he looks like he is unbeatable. But when things are going bad, he is not coming back. There's no Rocky gene inside of him. It just does not exist.
I do think he gets a lot of crap for his chin. I don't think his chin is necessarily bad, because he took some shots in that fight early on that would have dusted off a lot of heavyweights. Just the fight for a lot of heavyweights would have been over in the first. The issue is even though he can survive certain moments that other people can't, his powers of recovery ain't there. Once his
Hmm.
legs go, it's over for him, and that's kind of we all saw it play out in front of our very eyes. It was
Yeah, and I will give credit to him for the finishing sequence. Like he went for it. He really went for it. But the flaw was still there that he left his right hand down, and when he went for that uppercut, like he was just wide open for the counter, wide open for the counter, and that was
for
it.
someone as experienced as him, he should have known better. Like if
Yeah,
once he'd recovered a little bit and he hurt Dubois at that moment in the fifth, if he'd stepped back and stayed patient and kept popping, but I think he knew he was hurt and he knew it was now or never. You got to give him credit for that because a lot of fighters, and it
I
made it
do.
an exciting fight. So
I do. I definitely give him credit for that, even though it ended horribly for him. So the
it
next
did.
question really is like, what's next? What do you think is next for Daniel Dubois?
Well, they say they're going to activate the rematch clause, and while I think that's a very, very bad idea, I think they'll do the rematch. I think it's terrible because AJ's got nowhere else to go. He's effectively lost the Fury fight as things stand, which is what this is all building up to. He
Hmm.
can't fight Usyk again. The only big money huge fight for AJ is the Tyson Fury fight. Now he could wait and hope amongst all hope that Tyson Fury loses again to Usyk because it sets
Hmm.
that up. They both lost. You can set that up, and people, even though the fights come way too late, people will still watch it. You put that in a 95,000 stadium just because of the history of the two guys, the fact that they're
Yeah.
both British, and people just want to know who would win, regardless of whether it's come late or not.
Hmm.
People will still watch that fight. So he has that kind of potentially in the back pocket. But we know how boxing goes in general. Relying on somebody else, on whether somebody else wins or loses for your next fight, very rarely works out in boxing. They usually get punished for this shit. And if Tyson Fury wins this matchup, which is very possible, I think Usyk is leagues above Fury, but there's a strong possibility that Fury could get the job done on the night. He's a physical freak. If he goes in there 100% his best, he could get it done. And he's got to wait until December for that to happen.
Yeah.
I think AJ's career is in big trouble right now. I think
Hmm.
it's kind of hinged on that. If I was him, I might maybe just say fuck it and just fight somebody like Wilder or do the Joseph Parker fight again, who he's already beaten, and Parker's on the rise as well again. He's strung some good wins together. If I was him, if he's intent on coming back and fighting again, I wouldn't wait for the Fury fight necessarily because I feel like that's always going to be there. And when they eventually decide to do it, it's already too late anyway.
Hmm.
Depends on what he wants. If I was him, but I would probably take the Wilder fight or take the Joseph Parker fight in the next sort of 5 to 6 months, and then see how Fury and Usyk plays out. That's probably
Yeah.
what I'd do if I was him,
Now that makes
or
sense.
I'd retire.
Yeah, that's another option for sure. Um, Joseph Parker and Deontay Wilder were the ones that came up for me. Joseph Parker because it kind of makes sense as far as
Mm-mm.
like where they both are at right now. For Deontay Wilder, that one's more of a bigger money fight in the sense of they could have that fight here in Madison Square Garden and it would do very, very well. Just having their names and bragging rights on the line.
And it's a
If
fight
he
you
wants
can
to go that
win.
right, it's
It's
a
a
fight.
fight you can win
It's a fight
because
he better win.
Wilder's never been the best boxer, but even the trump card that he does have doesn't feel like it's there as much anymore. So
Yeah,
it's very much, and the casual fan isn't going to know that. They're going to still see Deontay Wilder versus AJ, and they're going to be like, "Wow, shit!" Like, and they're going to watch.
yeah.
I'm going to watch. So it's
I'd
like
watch it for sure. 100%. I'd watch it.
there's
I think it would
options,
be
but it's
big.
like it's very delicate right now because you feel like he's one major loss away from it being completely over, and there's no embarrassment in that. I mean, the guy's 34.
Yeah,
He's
he's had a good
won.
run.
He's held multiple world titles.
Yeah,
He's made tons of money. Everyone's end has to come, but I feel like he's at that breaking point now where there's no time for a rebuild. It's either like boom, you go in there and you win your next fight, and you maybe get one more big one, or you go in there and you lose and it's over. That's where we're at with him. He's got 1, 2 fights left, regardless of the path.
yeah. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he still has another future. He still has movies. He still has you know, modeling. He's got tons of things ahead of him if he doesn't want to go that route. But if he wants to go and just grab another bag of cash, I think the Deontay Wilder fight is the one that he should do. And if he wins that fight, he could piggyback that into something else if he desires to. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that's an easy. It's almost like a tune-up fight.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the way that Deontay's looking now, and
Yeah,
I've never really liked, Deontay Wilder for his skill set, but in terms of the way he's got things done with one trick and the fact that what he's fighting for, his whole story,
yeah.
I've always liked Deontay Wilder from that aspect of it. So it's like, I feel like the narrative's there, the history's there, and
Deontay,
it's a
he
winnable
take the
fight.
fight.
Oh,
Deontay
he
will
take
take the
it.
fight.
Oh, he take it all day long. He's rubbing his. Deontay Wilder was the biggest winner last night
Yeah,
because
that's
he's like,
true.
oh shit, this fight becomes viable again. So all of a sudden,
Yes.
it's like boom. I think AJ will take the Parker fight because I think
Yeah.
AJ still. First of all, I think he's gonna fight Dubois again. I think that's what's probably gonna happen for all the. I think knowing the history of what he's done, he reactivated the when he lost to Ruiz. He immediately activated the rematch clause when everyone was like, "You just got your ass whooped," and he did it. And then he went out there and won.
Yeah.
He got absolutely destroyed by Usyk, and everyone was like, "Don't fight this man again." And he did it again. Only in this time, he lost again.
Yeah.
He's gonna do the same thing with Dubois. As stupid as he's gonna have to believe in his mind, and I think he will. Right now, he's saying to himself, "I lost that fight more because of what I did," and there is some truth to that. He didn't start well.
Hmm.
He didn't obviously respect him as much. I mean, I'm not saying he didn't train properly and blah blah blah, but he didn't fight that man like he was expecting what he was bringing to the table. So he's going to say to himself, right, if I expect a fight from the jump, I can alter what I'm doing. He can talk himself into believing that there's ways that he can win that fight, and he's going to want it back. So
Yeah.
ultimately, of everything, whatever people say about AJ, he wants to be a champion. And right now, the only viable thing to get him a belt right now is the Dubois fight. There's no other fights out there for him to get to that, and he's got a rematch clause in place. So I think that's what will happen. But I agree with you. I think he should fight Wilder, or probably Wilder is the one I would take,
Yeah. I
just
think
in
that would
terms of
be the one.
winnable. We'll see. I think he'll fight Dubois again, and I think it'd be like May. So it'd be like March, April next year, is what I would
Hmm.
expect.
Yeah. So on to something else that's happening this Saturday, and that's uh Renato Moicano, your boy. It's going to be fighting Benoit Saint-Denis, a person that
Mm.
you despise. So
So I wouldn't say I despise being. Here's the thing: I don't despise Saint Denis as like a personality. I just think he's not as good as people think he is.
yeah, yeah,
I think is kind of where I'm at. Having said that, I do have an interesting take on this fight. I'm kind of interested to know
interesting,
what you think. Mm.
interesting. I'm very excited for this fight. It's number 11
It's a
versus number
great fight.
12. I think that this is the type of stage that I feel like Moicano deserves. Since he's changed since really going back to when because he was a featherweight and he moved up to lightweight and kind of changed his personality. Not even really changed his personality. He just was more open about his personality, and kind of just really stepped into who he is. He's become way more entertaining, and I would probably say that he's probably on the mic. He's at the worst. He's top two as far as being on the mic. I would probably oddly put DDP in that as well. It's weird to even
Mm.
say that,
It's
but
weird to say that right now where we stand. It's weird. It
it
is.
is very weird, very weird.
Mm.
But Moicano is extremely entertaining, and this is a fight that I feel like he can push himself up in the division on. But he, in my opinion, is facing somebody who was previously considered a dark horse in the division prior to the Dustin Poirier fight. With 5 fights in the UFC or 5 wins coming by finish, the other two, losses on his record. One to Dustin Poirier and one when he went up in weight. But he has a pretty nice record in the UFC, a pretty nice push, being he's going to headline a card. But there's still questions. When he fought Dustin Poirier, He may have had staff, but ultimately he made the walk into the ring, and the octagon door closed, and he didn't do what he was supposed to do. So I can't give him too much credit on that, or give him too much leeway. He just got beat soundly. But by the same token, I was high on Benoit Saint-Denis. I didn't think that he was going to beat Dustin, but I did give him a good chance to start making his way up through the division. And in this fight, I actually favor him, unless he gets into a dog fight, and I feel like that's where Moicano somehow makes things happen. Is for some odd reason, like he's got the dog in him that Anthony Joshua wish he had.
It's funny that you bring up DDP, because there's very, just like somehow you're looking at him and you're like, you should be on your ass right now. Your chin should be into the mat and your ass should be in the air, and yet somehow you're winning. And I don't understand everything you think you know about MMA.
Yeah.
And how things should go, looking at it from the eye test point of view, you should be losing, but you're chadding. He's just a Chad. He's it's just hard. Some people just have it. He has it.
It's true. It's true. So what do you think as far as this matchup, between these two, knowing what you know now about both of these men at this point?
Yeah, there's two ways that I'm looking at this. This is going to sound like a little bit of a cop-out. I am going to pick Renato, but there's a few caveats to this. For me, the one thing that really I think is first of all, he's obviously going to be more in danger in the first 2 rounds. I think those first 2, Benoit, in my opinion, Benoit Saint-Denis has to finish him in those first 2 rounds. And I think his best avenue to success for that, looking at how they both match up, I think the ability for Benoit Saint-Denis to land those body kicks is going to be what makes the difference in this fight or not. If Benoit Saint-Denis can land the body kick at will, I think he's going to finish this fight early. Because, first of all, his body kicks are some of the best in the game. They're vicious as hell. When he connects them, they land with FUD. They are fight-finishing body kicks. And Renato is very susceptible with the way that he fights, at the range that he fights at, and how he's very protective of his... He uses a high guard Renato's a bit weird in that. He'll use a high guard sometimes, and then he'll drop when he's attacking, and he's more susceptible to getting hit that way. But his body is always open. And if he doesn't manage the distance well, he could get hurt to the body very badly. And I think that's going to be key. If Benoit can land those shots and land them early and take the gas out of him, he could finish the fight early. But I'm going to go on the fact that this is a 5-rounder. That I do think Renato is underrated in terms of how he strikes. He's got a better range than Benoit Saint-Denis does. And I like that this is going 5. I think for Benoit to win this fight, in my opinion, he's got to finish him. I just think Renato is more overall skilled. I think wrestling, they're kind of comparable, but I think I would give Renato the edge from a jiu-jitsu standpoint. I think if it gets down onto the ground with the length of his limbs and the way that he's just able to transition into those positions, I would give him the advantage there. And I also think he's got a better gas tank than BSD. But yeah, it's going to come down to, can he navigate his way out of those first 2 rounds? And I'm going to assume, us starting with the narrative of what Chad he is, I'm gonna hope, not assume, probably more hopeful, that he can navigate his way out of those first 2 rounds and then take over and win the fight later on. Because BSD's gas tank is very questionable. And it's it's not because he has no gas tank, it's the way that he fights. Because he fights with such a forward pressure kind of style. He puts a lot of energy into those opening few rounds. And I think that Moicano's better at managing his tank. So I'm going on the fact that it's a 5-round fight. I'm going to edge Moicano, but I'm not betting on it. It's going to be a tough one. It's a very interesting... I'm not going to be shocked if either guy wins. It's one of those ones. Like I said, it sounds like a cop-out, but it's why it's such a great main event, because it could go either way.
Yeah, so So last question, and it kind of goes for both of them. What do you think that a win does for either one of them in the lightweight division?
I think it will do more for Renato at this point than it will for Benoit, because Renato is on a win streak. Like you said, he does have that mic skill. I think it depends on how serious Moicano is about getting towards the belt as quickly as possible. Because I think they're both looking at two guys. They're both looking at Paddy, who, even though he's lower down the rankings, he's that kind of attention fight that you kind of want at this stage when you haven't got that notoriety yet.
Absolutely.
And it's a winnable fight. Or alternatively, they're both looking at Dariush, who's been very inactive, and also he's shown that he's slowed down considerably, and he's higher up the rankings, and he's probably one of those guys that is probably the least dangerous, highly ranked guy. And if you're looking to get towards the belt as soon as possible, those are the two that you're looking for. So I think it could be a thing where the loser gets Paddy, the winner potentially picks up Dariush, assuming that Fiziev doesn't swoop in there and take that fight first. Because if they're smart, those are the two fights they're looking at, in my opinion. Yeah. But I mean, the winner could get Paddy as well, because he's got the name.
He does have the name. He does.
But I think it gets them one step away. Yeah, I think it gets both of them one step away from a title eliminator. It depends how it goes. Like, if Moicano goes in there and flatlines him quickly, he could be at the doorstep of an eliminator, because he's on a run, and he hasn't been shown against the top 5 guys yet. So he could vault himself there. Whereas we've seen BSD go in against a top 5 guy and get dismantled in his last one. So that's kind of how I see it. But the win is massive for both of them. It puts them in the conversation.
Yeah, a win on a card that you're headlining, like that's a big deal. I would think that whoever wins would definitely. I kind of think that Paddy might swoop in and get the Dariush fight before they do.
If somehow. He's smart.
That's who I'd be going for.
If he's smart.
And I think the winner of this could be looking at maybe Gamrot, maybe.
Again, it's interesting. It's interesting because Gamrot's stock he's a tricky one to take, because he's a tough fight, but now his stock has dropped as well.
Quite a bit.
So I think if you're in that region just outside the top 5, he's somebody you wouldn't necessarily want to fight, because he's coming off a loss. If he was coming off a win, it'd be a different story.
Yeah. Hooker would be interesting, but I don't think the Hooker wants to fight back either.
There's talks about him and Gaethje potentially, which would be incredible.
Yeah, I would really like to see that fight. That would be an amazing fight.
I mean, that's a guaranteed banger right there. If you could put 2 guys in that division right now, you say put them in there. There's no way that fight would suck. There's no way.
Yeah.
They're gonna stand and bang. You get like a very similar to what we got with Hooker and Poirier. Yeah, you're destined to be that.
You'd either get a new entry into the title picture and a retirement, or then you would get Justin Gaethje putting a stamp on the fact that he's just going to stick around for a little bit longer in that same
I'm
spot.
still here. And either way, you'd get an absolutely banger of a fight.
Yeah.
It would be, you might not get your highlight reel knockout. I reckon you would, but you would get a war, because that's all those guys know how to do. If they're smart, they'll make that fight. Bit of a sidebar there, sorry, but I felt like it was worth a mention.
No, you're right. That's a good one. That's a good mention. Hey, so I got.
So you're accusing?
Y'all, I got this water jug. Right?
He's about to say some bullshit. Go ahead.
The truth.
Talk your shit.
This is the truth. Okay, I got this, and wonderful. I don't know who Deus Tools are, but wonderful, nice little water jug. But I started drinking out of it, and my lovely wife here, over here, there, whatever, she said, well, where's your straw at? And I was like, well, it didn't come with a straw. And every time I drink out of it, she's like, yeah, you're supposed to have a straw. And I'm like, Well, it didn't come with a straw. I'm using the tools that were given to me, which makes me think that somebody stole my straw. And here's the thing: is like she's been complaining about not having a straw for some of her cups, but she didn't stop complaining recently. And I don't know what's going on here. I don't have a straw. She got straws. Y'all help me sort this out. Who got the straw? That's what I want to know. Something's going on around here.
I'm done with you.
Something's going on around here. I don't know what it is, but I want my straw. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, that is not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the fights that we are anticipating. We just entered into, I guess, is it the fourth quarter now? I don't know. Is it the fourth quarter starts?
Not yet.
October, but
October.
It's about to be the fourth quarter in a week. And so, yeah, there's been a lot of fights that have been announced. And I'm curious, what fights are you excited about? So give me one of them. Don't give me all of them. Just give me one. So far, we'll kind of go back and forth.
Okay, cool. That'll be really easy because although there's been a lot of fights announced, there's not too many that I'm super excited for that everyone else isn't probably excited for. So I'll just come out the gate with probably the easiest one to guess, which is Ilia versus Max.
Yeah.
I mean, I really wanted to see Max fight Islam, but I think Islam is on like a student schedule, or like he only works on weekends or something, holiday schedule. So, we got to go with Ilia, but it's going to be a really good fight. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah. Islam's on the prison release program. You only go out and work. You got to go back in prison. Yeah. I don't understand his schedule. His hand was hurt. Now it's not hurt. I don't know what's going on with that dude, but no, that fight is going to be amazing. It is one that I wrote down, but I figured that you were going to come with that one because everybody's super excited about that fight.
Yeah.
But my question is, are you excited about that fight because of the fight itself or because of one of the individuals?
Well, just Max. Just the outcome. And I mean, even if he loses this fight, he still has so many different options. But if he wins, I think the options available will be better than if he loses.
Yeah. And didn't we do a video on that? We did a video on Max's options.
No, we probably just had a conversation together about it. You might have done a video about it.
Maybe I did a video about it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. If I did, I'll link it up there. But
yeah,
going into that fight, that's what I was excited about, was the options that he would have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really liked your thought about him possibly fighting Sean, but Sean he's on a little setback right now, but he still fight Islam. And I still think that Max could fight Dustin too. I think that's a pretty good money fight for both of them, actually. Be a good departure for Dustin.
Could be. You know what? And honestly, if that would be, that's actually the big money send-off that he could have. Because if Max loses, then Max defends his BMF belt against Dustin in Dustin's final fight.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool.
See? Endless possibilities for Max.
Yeah. No, I like that one. That's a very good one. All right, so my turn. I'm going to go with Robert Whittaker against Khamzat Chimaev. I'm anticipating that one. And the reason why is because, one, I want to see if Khamzat actually makes it to the fight. Does he actually put on, get his hands wrapped, put on, what he's going to fight in, and walk down that aisle.
Run, gallop down the aisle.
Gallop, yeah. Have the door closed and locked, and him be in there with the former welterweight champion. Like, I want to see, is he going to, that's the biggest fight for him. Is he going to make it in there? Then he's got to go fight somebody who is about his business. I want to see if he gets in there. And I also want to see, if the fight goes past 2 rounds, who is Khamzat Chimaev really? So for me, this fight is a lot more about Khamzat Chimaev than it is about Robert Whittaker, because I know who Robert Whittaker is. Win or lose, I know exactly who that man is. I don't know who Khamzat Chimaev is right now. and I really want to see who he is. That one's super important to me.
Yeah, that was my third pick, actually. I think this is also an interesting outcome. Like you mentioned, we know who Robert Whittaker is, but I mean, what does he really get from winning this fight? Does he actually get the title shot? I mean, Hamzat's been out. He's probably on the same schedule as Islam, so
Yeah, same program.
What is that? Yeah, what is it for that division? But either way, I am excited to see that fight for the same reasons that you are. I don't know that Hamzat is going to make it. He might, everybody's doubting him. So
yeah, I wonder what the over/under is on him making it to the fight.
Not the outcome of the fight, but him actually making it to the fight.
Yeah, just making it to the fight. Like, I'm sure they had it in the last one, and somebody made some money. Who you got in your next fight?
Alex versus Roundtree. Don't know why I picked his first name and then the other guy's last name, but that's how I wrote it. Maybe Pajeda was too hard to spell at the time.
It's tricky. It's tricky.
Yeah, and I just, really quick, Alex. Anyway, I actually just picked two random Khalil fights. And the first one I saw was Carl Robertson.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys haven't seen that fight, you guys should go watch it. It's actually at the Apex, but it's really good. And then I saw Gokhan Saki. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I saw that fight, I immediately wanted to pick Khalil because of, the counter. Like, now I get why everybody's saying he does his best work when he's countering kickboxers. But if you're only basing it off of this fight, then okay. But, otherwise, if he has other fights where he's fighting kickboxers and he does the same thing, then I could see the argument for that. But either way, he's super exciting, and just kind of going down his catalog is getting me more excited for him and Alex. I kind of want him to knock Alex out a little bit.
I want him to win. Just, I like
shake things up.
I like the chaos. And I think that it's just an interesting story. Somebody who went to basically do cardio kickboxing because he was a little overweight, making it to be a UFC champion is beating a Hall of Fame kickboxer would be insane. But, we'll see. Like, I do think that he has, some fight-ending power that could get Alex in trouble if he isn't on his P's and Q's. And I think that Alex is not the type of fighter who's going to leave any openings for that. But I think that Khalil Roundtree has more power than Israel Adesanya, and Izzy knocked him out. So it's possible. It's definitely possible. So I'm looking forward to that one as well.
I'm going to find you a couple of clips of where he leaves openings often. Yeah, and make sure you insert those right there. Just.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, he's not infallible.
Yeah.
He's not infallible. He, like I said, he's been within, what was it, maybe 4 fights ago, he got knocked out viciously. Viciously in front of his family. So, it's definitely possible, but we'll see. I'm excited for that one too. And my third one is something that probably most people would not think that I would say, or that anybody would say, to be honest. But is it my third one or my second one? Is this my third one? My second one? I said, no, this is my second one. Yeah, this is my second one. You're supposed to help me with my counting. Okay. My second one is John Jones against Stipe Miocic.
Dude, I don't know why I forgot that fight was happening. I totally forgot that shit was going on.
I'm anticipating this fight because of the fact that I just wanted to get over with. I really want to be done with this. I want to have some normalcy in this division. This is the only division that has an interim champion. And it's an interim champion without a fight scheduled with the champion. He's the backup, but we know that John Jones doesn't fight backups. And Stipe would fight him, but it would only be for an interim belt. Like, let's just get this over with. I'm done with this. Is John going to retire or not? More than likely he is. Just let him fight this man and leave. I think that John Jones I think very, very highly of him as a fighter. And I want to kind of just leave it right there and let's move on with our UFC lives. That's really what it comes down to. So I'm anticipating it so it can be over. That's another person. Wrap him in some bubble wrap. Make sure he gets to the fight. Make sure if we need to carry him to the ring so he doesn't, walk and hurt himself, just get him in there. Fight the man, win or lose. Just go home. That's it. That's all I want you to do. Just fight and go home.
Well, shit, John Jones, get the fuck out of here. That's all we gotta say about that.
I hate when fighters stall divisions.
Yeah.
This is such a stall.
Yeah, Islam. We hate when fighters stall divisions. Islam, I drink your milkshake.
You really got it against Islam right now. You don't really, you're not really fucking with Islam.
You know I love Islam.
I know you do, but you hate to stall out.
I do. I really do. I can't even remember the last time you fought. I couldn't tell you.
Dustin.
Oh, yeah.
That
was not too long ago.
It's only a few months ago.
Yeah.
But the problem is he's not going to fight again until next year, and we know that.
Yeah, I think his coach Javier is trying to
push back and make it December.
Yeah, he's trying to.
We'll see.
I don't know. Yeah,
we'll see.
I don't know. Almost makes me wonder. I had to take a look at that. Do you think that Islam wanted to fight Max after he saw Max fight Dustin? Justin, I mean.
I think he was indifferent to it. I don't think. He had any worries about fighting Max any more than he had about. Well, I think that with Dustin, it was a little bit different because he saw the path to victory with him, even though that's not the way it went. He thought that it would go very similar to the way it went with Habib, and it didn't go that way at all. But with Max, I think it's a different problem that he sees. Max is a totally different kind of striker than Dustin is, and he's a really different kind of puzzle to try to solve.
Yeah,
not necessarily more difficult, just very different.
Yeah, I agree, and I know he had plans to move up and fight Leon. That went out the window because he's not fighting Bilal, and I guess they don't want to fight each other since they're friends or brothers or whatever.
Yeah, they're not gonna fight each other. Not to mention Bilal definitely can't beat Islam.
Hey man, he fights. He's got Canelo boxing. Okay.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Yeah.
Bilal, Canelo, Muhammad.
Remember the name. Okay. I almost drew him in your little mural, by the way. He almost made it on there. But when Leon poked his eye.
Or what I forgot the name.
And that was the problem because I was trying to draw it when Leon poked his eye, and it's just, there's just a lot of lines because it's so squinty and just tears. So, yeah. I tried to find a way. I'll try to find a way. Okay. What are we on? 3 or 4?
Yeah, 3. Just 3.
3? Is it my third one? Oh shit. Okay. Well, you took my third one. So my fourth one. Yeah, I do have 6 of them, but my fourth one was Leon Murphy versus Danny Gay. Yeah. I'm really excited for that. I actually went down looking at Danny Gay's record. He actually doesn't have that many fights in the UFC. I didn't realize he started in 2018.
Yeah, he got busy when he got in though.
Yeah, he did. But kind of same for Leon. He didn't have too many fights in the UFC either. They're both 33, 32. Pretty similar record if I'm not mistaken. I didn't take any notes on this one. I just know that I'm pretty excited for it. I really like Danny Gay. I was hoping he would come in and beat Diego off the couch.
Yeah, that would have been exciting.
Extremely exciting. I think just what really sealed the deal for him is knocking out Andre Fili. That was fucked up and hilarious.
Man, that was such, I don't know, it almost felt like a big brother to a little brother type of situation, the way he knocked him out. Because it's as soon as the bell rang, it was almost like he knew, dude, this is not going to last long.
It really was.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Andre was just, trying to hype the fight or why he said what he was saying at the time, what was it? Do you remember? Something like
I don't even remember.
he's going to knock him out or whatever, but they used to spar together or maybe even train together. But that's probably what made it feel like a big brother situation.
Yeah.
And not just like dude, chill. It was shut the fuck up and sit down. That's what it really felt like, you know?
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
Dan
really
is
embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's fighting, a dude that's undefeated in Lerone Murphy, who is coming off of a win over a legend in Edson Barboza.
That was a crazy ass fight. I'm going to watch that again. I have it queued up.
It was a really good fight. And it definitely showed me some different things about Lerone Murphy. But also reminded me that Lerone Murphy is kind of a smaller version of Leon Edwards. They're very, very similar. They train in the same place, and you could tell. But I do think that that'll be an exciting fight because Dan Ige is going to bring the fight to him. Yeah, that one's going to be dope. And also on that Abu Dhabi card, like that's shaping up to be such an amazing card, even though it lost to Sorogan versus Volkov.
Yeah.
Fight.
Yeah, I didn't realize. For whatever reason, I thought, what's the fight before Sorogan? Is it Magomed?
Yeah, Magomed Ankalaev.
Ankala.
Magomed Ankala.
I thought that's the one that got canceled.
No.
Because Sorogan was going to be.
Is happening, at least as far as we know. But no, you're right. Lerone Murphy against Dan Ige should be a pretty dope fight. My third fight, I had to think about this one for a little bit, but I think my third fight that I'm anticipating the most is probably Michel Pereira against Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, which should be headlining the UFC Fight Night 245 card. I'm very, very excited about that fight because I really don't know how that's going to go. Frankie, who is on earlier in this podcast, he definitely talked me into boarding the Anthony Hernandez hype train. And I've always thought Michel Pereira was really good, but a lot of it had to do with his size and athleticism, and he doesn't have that size advantage at middleweight like he used to at welterweight. But even at middleweight, he's undefeated at middleweight now, I believe, and he's winning in impressive fashion. So this is a massive step for both of them because they're both like crazy, have crazy momentum going for them right now. So. And they're headlining a card. I think it's both of their first time headlining a card. So this is going to be very, very interesting. And the rest of the card itself is not super crazy fantastic, but it's got some sleeper good fights on there for hardcores. But I think that it's going to be pretty dope. Pretty dope.
Yeah, I saw Jocelyn Edwards is on there. So, and why is Austin Lane fighting? I thought.
Is he on this card? He is on this card.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's right. He's fighting Roble Despagne.
Yeah, I saw that earlier, and I was like, oh,
wow. Sign me up for a knockout. That's what's going to happen in that one.
Choices, okay.
Good.
We'll see. We'll see. Hey, he may come back.
That man ain't coming back. The man is not coming back. But I think that that's going to be a really good fight. Rob Font versus Kyler Phillips is on that card as well. But who do you got for your third one?
Was that not my third one? I'm pretty sure that was my third one.
Is that your third one? Okay.
Yeah, it's like Ilia Max, Pereira, Roundtree, Murphy, and Ige.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I've got some honorable mentions.
Oh yeah, throw those out.
So Marina Rodriguez and Yasmin Lucindo.
Ooh, yeah. Very, very high on Yasmin Lucindo.
Same. It's more so just want to see where she goes. She's good.
Yeah.
I'm excited for her. I don't know who Waldo Cortez Acosta is, but I'm just happy to see Chris Barnett back.
Yeah.
So that was my second honorable mention.
No, those are good ones. I'll give you a couple of honorable mentions. I'm looking forward to Rob
Wonder
Font
Boy and
against Kyler
Buckley.
Phillips. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Rob Font against Kyler Phillips. That one's going to be an amazing striking battle. And I'm also looking forward to Bo Nickel against Paul Craig.
I saw that, and I'm still not excited about Bo Nickel. But I mean, Raquel and Juliana were about to be on my list, so that doesn't say much for.
That is a different list of least excited. And John
It's on the same level
as well.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I was like, dude, it's literally for the same reason. Just get it out the way so Juliana can fight. What's Triple H? Kayla Harrison.
Juliana should, after she loses this fight, just retire.
You think she's gonna lose this fight? I don't think so, dude.
I hope so. I really hope so.
No.
That would be awesome if she does.
Why? You want Rocky to be there forever? And like,
she's not going to be there forever. She's going to be there for one more fight.
You think she'll retire after the fight with Juliana Pena, regardless of the outcome? No, so be a double retire.
No, she'll win that fight, and then she'll have to fight Kayla, and then she'll lose. And then
that's not fun.
Well,
that's not fun.
Somebody.
The UFC doesn't even want that. The UFC would prefer Pena to fight Kayla.
Probably. But do we really want
Juliana
Pena
we do.
being a two-time
bantamweight
champion? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear her talking about it.
You don't want to hear the screeches of a banshee?
Oh my god!
I like her. She grew on me. She got
the same fighting style as Ronda with them punches. Same fight.
What are you talking about? Her and Habib have the same punches. What are you talking about? Y'all love Habib. What's different?
Habib has
striking.
He knocked Conor down.
Did he?
He did.
Yeah. I don't remember that. Well, I mean, if you wail and everything in the air, I mean, it's kind of like what's his name? He's champ. Just beat Izzy. Why can't I think of his name?
Oh, DDP.
Thank you. Yeah, if you just wail around that way, you're gonna hit something. I mean,
yeah,
same striking style, I think. So I would prefer like Pena and Harrison to fight. It'll make that division a little bit exciting, you know. And plus, Kayla, she's some pretty good shit talking, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun.
I don't know. I feel like the
just don't.
Is lost. It doesn't have a lot of hope right now. Kayla will give it some legitimacy, but like honestly, they need to sign Larissa Pacheco and then just hope somebody rises through the ranks that's interesting. And some of the older people kind of fade away, you know, like the Hollies, Juliana Pena, Raquel Penningtons, Jermaine Durandamies, like just, you know, go ahead and head into retirement so he can get some fresh blood. Because the current crop at 135 they're just not exciting. You know, I think that they're very skilled, but they're just not exciting.
Yeah. I mean,
it sucks for them.
Yeah. Yeah,
sucks
I'm
for
so
us.
more excited.
Who it sucks for. But
that's true.
Cool. Okay. That's 3 and 3 and some honorable mentions. I like it.